Hey, it's me, Vicki Marie, with my second coffee of the day. So I'm just the video I'm making today. Oh my God, what is going on in Oklahoma? God's Misfits, the cast of Deliverance. We've got one of the characters from the bloody Ozark, Darlene Snell. It looks like in there. It's unbelievable. And at the heart of it all, 2 women have been murdered and 6 children are left without a mother. And the people responsible for it, or one of the people responsible for it, is the grandmother of one of those women's children. Let's chat. Now, first of all, I just want to tell you a little bit about the case. I'm sure a lot of you know about it. I've covered it. These are the 2 missing mums. They went missing. Right, let's start from the beginning, probably better, just to give you a background to this story. It's sort of it's another one of those cases that if you were if you saw it on a film or a series or whatever, like if you've ever watched Ozark, the series Ozark or the film Deliverance, this is what it reminds you of a little bit. Now, if you haven't seen the series Ozark, I would definitely recommend that you watch it. It's a brilliant series. But there are bits in it where you think, oh gosh, that's a bit far-fetched, or surely that wouldn't happen. But obviously, patently, these things do happen. These characters do exist in real life. There's a character in Ozark called Darlene Snell. And actually, I'm just going to show you a picture of Darlene Snell, just in case you haven't seen this. This is Darlene. She's like one of the anti-heroes in the series. And, she's a badass. I mean, she is bad, like really bad. And that just reminds me of this grandma. I think she even looks like her a bit, though the actress probably won't be very happy about that. But of course, the actress, she looks better when she's dressed all properly. She's supposed to look mean, and she's a brilliant actress. It's a brilliant series, and she is a brilliant character. And she is in many, many episodes, and it will blow your mind. But especially now, I think, with what's happened, you will see that there are literally people like this in the world. Anyway, going back to God's Misfits, the real ones. So God's Misfits, the anti-government group accused of ambushing and murdering 2 women. Now it turns out as well they're part of this group, the God's Misfits. So these poor 2 mothers, here they are. This is the one. This is Darlene Snell, the one that reminds me of Darlene Snell. Darlene Snell, more or less, is right. So they've killed these 2 ladies, Veronica Butler, 27, and Jillian Kelley, 39. And Veronica Butler, poor girl, had been in a relationship with the grandma, Tiffany, her name is. I mean, what a name for her, Tiffany. You know what I mean? It's like she's the least Tiffany looking like person that you would. She should be Cora. Cora should be her name. But anyway, her name's Tiffany. And she's the one that reminds me of Darlene Snell. And she's the grandma. So poor Veronica got involved with Tiffany's son. He's in rehab or prison or somewhere. So he's thought to have nothing to do with this, though maybe he was involved in the plot. Oh my God, she's only 54. She's 54, this woman. She must have had a hard life, that's all I can say. So, so Veronica was going to pick up her children because when Tiffany's son went into rehab or prison or wherever he is, she applied for custody of the children, a temporary custody order of the children, and she was awarded it. But there was like visitation rights from Veronica, and Veronica was trying to get full custody. So that's what's behind it all. How she ever thought she would get away with it, I just don't know. And how she ever thought that would be the right thing to do, to murder her grandchildren who she's supposed to love and adore, murder their mother, how she thought that was a good thing, I just don't know. So this all happened last month as Veronica and Jillian went off to collect the children and then disappeared, and their car was found abandoned at a rural crossroads near a trail of blood, broken a hammer, pistol magazine and one woman's glasses. And now the bodies have been recovered. Now, wasn't any of these that said where the bodies were. It was Cora's children, or one of Cora's children, a 16-year-old girl, apparently, who went to the police, overheard the rest of them talking, etc., and went to the police. And that's why these people are behind bars, thanks to that very brave young girl. Because if it wasn't for her, would they have ever found the bodies? Would they have ever? I mean, they were probably suspect numero uno right from the beginning. But you know, as we know, knowing that someone's done something and proving it are two different things, aren't they? So apparently they claimed they were going on a mission before Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelley vanished. So now, to all intents and purposes, this woman, she's like the local granny gangster or gangster granny. You know, everyone's scared of her. She's got a farm. She's, you know, well known in the area. And this is the Oklahoma Panhandle. They keep calling it the Panhandle. It's, you know, it's, what can I say? It's different. They're going to be up for the death penalty as well, because it is the second most prevalent state for death, you know, for executions. And so they're definitely going to be, this is going to be a death penalty verdict when finally they get tried, because it seems like they planned it all. They were burning you know, it wasn't a spur of the moment act of passion. It was a planned execution of these women. So it looks likely that the death penalty is going to be on the table. So yeah, they were heading to pick up Miss Butler's children, the two women, Jillian and I always get Veronica. I always get a name wrong. Anyway, Veronica and Jillian were heading to pick up Miss Butler's two children from their grandmother when they disappeared. Their car was found abandoned at a rural crossroads, trail of blood, broken hammer. I mean, when you think about it, trail of blood, broken hammer, a pistol magazine and glasses. I mean, you know, talk about, you know, candlestick in the library. I mean, you know, they've left all clues behind, but anyway, never mind. Good that they have. So who are the members? So what is God's Misfits? So the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation has named the 4 suspects as members of God's Misfits. So this is an anti-government religious group. So there she is. There's Tiffany, or as I think Darlene Snell, the character in Ozark. That would be much better. She looks like a Darlene, doesn't she, or a Cora? Anyway, she's the paternal grandmother to missing Veronica Butler's children. Her son, Wrangler Rickman, that's the father. 26 years old, so young. He's currently in a rehabilitation centre. So she was allegedly involved in an ongoing custody battle over the two children aged 6 and 8. Next, we've got Tad Burtcullen. I mean, you know, just the picture says it all, doesn't it? So she's his boyfriend, and he's lived in and around Texas and Cimarron counties in Oklahoma for most of his life. Then there's Cole Earl Twombly, who's 50. He appears to have moved from Colorado to Oklahoma about 2005, and he and Cora Twombly have been married since 2015. And the day before his arrest, he posted on Facebook thanking friends for their birthday wishes. He said, "I got to dance in the front yard with the lovely and gracious Cora Twombly, have cake and share the evening with our new daughter in love," he said. And it was their daughter, their 16-year-old daughter, that's thought to have gone to the police. So there's Cora Twombly, 44. And she allegedly told her daughter all about their involvement in the two women's disappearance. So luckily, you brought that girl up right, at least, Cora. That's one thing you can be happy with. You brought your daughter up right, because she then went straight to the police. So Miss Twombly was formerly known as Cora White. Her 16-year-old daughter, known in court documents as CW, lives with her and spoke to investigators on the 3rd of April about the group that her parents are allegedly part of. So CW advised she was told by Cora that Adams, Cullen, Cora Cole were involved in the deaths of Jillian and Veronica. They also mentioned 3 other possible members of God's Misfits, but they're not suspects in the case: Paul Grice, Barrett Cook, Lacey Cook. Lacey Cook and her husband live in Keys, Oklahoma, the same town as Miss Adams and Mr. Cullen. And Mr. and Mrs. Twombly live around 40 miles away in Texoma, Oklahoma. It's unclear if God's Misfits have other members. Oh, there's bound to be other members. So the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation said that Miss Twombly's daughter described the group as an anti-government group that has a religious affiliation. They held regular weekly meetings at both the Twomblys and Cook's home. And the day before Miss Butler and Miss Kelley disappeared, CW, the daughter, claimed her parents said they were going on a mission the following day. So then it goes on to say that social media searches have revealed no online presence of this group. There is another group called God's Misfits on Facebook, but they sought to distance themselves from this murder case. They said they had nothing to do with it. Some way people think they are part of us. Nothing could be more wrong. The group's owner, who goes by Squirrel, posted on Facebook, "God's Misfits is about spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ, not about hate and murder." Well, we know how people, take religious sort of religious ideals and twist them to suit themselves. That happens in all religions, doesn't it? I mean, this is not a religion. I don't know. It's a group, isn't it? I don't suppose it's a cult. I don't know. Not the proper one, if you like. Anyway, he called news of another God's Misfits group whacked out and said that people had messaged him, calling his group a cult. "I ain't got nothing to do with all that," he said. "I'm about scripture and about spreading the love of Jesus. I am not an anti-government murderer." And the God's Misfits Facebook group did not respond to the Independent's request for information at that time of publication. Well, they'd be annoyed, so it'd be like, they've created their own brand of God's Misfits, and how they even dare to have God's name in that title, I don't know, because just what they've done. I could just never get my head around it, no matter how angry you are with someone. Do you imagine sitting down on a Sunday afternoon with your God's Misfits and discussing how you're going to murder the mother of your grandchildren? Planning it, terrible. Terrible. Poor Veronica and Jillian. I hope it was quick, that's all, because they must have been terrified. God, you'd be terrified. What, with these turning up? Bloody hell, all these turning up. So listen, if you haven't seen Ozark series and you're looking for a series ever to watch Ozark. It's brilliant. And I think it's in the second series that Darlene Snell comes into it, the character of Darlene Snell, which to me could have been written for this woman. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that about God's Misfits. Now we're going to look at them going into the courtroom. So this is, I mean, even them appearing at court, because this is a small town where these people live, and you know, small towns are unique, aren't they? It's different from a big city, and they're big fish in a small pond. This family, I get the impression so people would have been scared to go to the police even if they suspected something, but the daughter, she must have been scared, but she went to the police anyway. So let's see. The News Nation was there. Brian Ensign, a very good reporter. He went from talking to Riley Strain's family, he went off then to Oklahoma, where actually they don't live in Tennessee, do they? But wherever they live. And then he went off to Oklahoma to cover the first, you know, them appearing in court.
Nation's national correspondent Brian Ensign was right there, front row, actually, for all of it. He joins me now live. Brian, you've had a hell of a day. I know that you expected it would be tense in that courtroom, but I'm sure you did not expect how intense it was going to be. And start from the beginning when you arrived and saw snipers on the roof.
Yeah, so this was a unique court.
So he arrives at the courtroom and there's snipers on the roof. What? You know, they're expecting some problems, the police, obviously.
Court experience. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it in Texas County, Oklahoma, a small courthouse. We show up and I immediately notice that there's sheriff's deputies everywhere, snipers up on the roof of the courthouse for security. There is a police drone in the air, actually, that they're flying over the small parking lot. They've got deputies out in the parking lot with those metal detector wands. And before you could go into the courthouse, right in the parking lot in the middle.
Yeah, so they're checking everyone before they go in. See, you know, we were talking about those metal detector things, weren't we? Yeah, they should. And to be honest, even in Spain, every time if you go into court or anything court related, you do have to go through security, like airport security. And you should have to, because you know, courts are high emotional places. But this obviously, this is, as I say, a small town. These people, this grandma, she's a big fish in a small pond. And, you know, what they were expecting, I don't know. They were expecting someone to kill them or some friends of theirs to break them free or whatever.
You had to spread your arms. They checked you. Obviously, no electronics, no cell phones. I was wearing a hoodie. I couldn't even wear my hoodie. They said, you have to take your hoodie off and take it back to the car. I've never had that happen before. So finally get inside. We go up to the third floor, small little quaint courthouse, very, very small courtroom. And that's when sort of the emotions just exploded, Ashley.
Okay, so now walk me through, again, a small courtroom and 4 defendants. Normally, you've got 1 defendant, and it's hard to fit people in a courtroom when it's a big media circus. But you guys, the media, were given the front row, which is very strange. We're usually pushed at least halfway back or to the back. Why were you all in the front row?
Yeah, so that's interesting. So they put the media on the front row. I think I'd be a bit nervous about being on the front row. Maybe they put the media there, then the media are the first in line if anything kicks off. Very strange that, because yeah, you know, they do have to account for the media, of course. You know, they do have to provide somewhere for the media to, you know, to view the proceedings, etc. But the front row.
Yeah, so small courtroom. And the first thing I wondered was, this is interesting. I've never been allowed to sit in the front row before. I later realized it was actually a very good move by the court administration. So we sit down, they brought the suspects in one by one. So they didn't bring them all in at the same time. And they marched them right through the middle of this little courthouse.
So here she is, the gangster granny, Darlene Snell. Just suits her much better, that name, than Tiffany. Just the least looking like a Tiffany person that I've ever seen in my life.
By the way, you saw they come out the front door, the video you're looking at. So there's no like back hallway or anything like that. So that was interesting. And they bring them in one by one, and there's about 24 family members of the victims in the back 2 rows. And it,
You know, he's so terrifying looking, this guy. I just, those poor women, when he came up with his fucking shotgun or hammer or whatever he had with him, sounds like maybe they smashed the windows with the hammer or something, and just awful. I mean, you'd just be terrified. It's like a nightmare. He's like something out of nightmares, this guy.
it is just another level of emotion, sobbing, crying. And then when each person came in, they weren't yelling, but they were talking loudly enough for everyone to hear and directing things at the suspects during the court hearing. I've never seen it before. And I wrote down some of the things they said. When Cole Trumbley came in, Veronica's dad said, bastard, bastard. When Tad Cullum came in, they said, you are a sorry ass piece of you know what. I'm not going to say what they said, a bad word. And when Grandma Tiffany came in, they said, effing B word who killed my daughter. And this is while the others are.
So this sounds like that's why they've put the media in the middle, so the media at the front, because otherwise they would have ended up with the family of the victims at the front, and then things could have got even more, hairy, couldn't they? But yeah, so it looks like they're saying to the media, right, you sit at the front. So they're in the middle of all this back and forth.
Sobbing. And then at one point, not at one point, pretty much throughout the entire thing, it took about an hour for them to get through each one of the suspects. They had to hold Veronica's dad back, and it was his family members were literally holding on to each arm because he wanted to rush the suspects. And I guess it was just, I've never seen it before, because normally when people get emotional in a courtroom, they will stop. The bailiff will say, everybody, we understand this is emotional, but please. That didn't happen here. It just moved on.
I got to be honest with you. I feel like I would have done the same. I know courtroom protocol. Yeah. I know decorum, but I'm not so sure I could have held back. I think someone would have had to hold me back.
Yeah, me too. Me too. That those people have killed that guy's daughter, Veronica. That was Veronica's dad they were talking about. Yeah, you would have had to hold me back as well. I think that's a normal human emotion, isn't it? You would be fuming when you saw them, especially because Veronica's dad is the granddad of those children. She is the other grandma of those children. He's probably thinking, how could you do that? He probably would not be able to do that to the father of the children as much as he might hate him. He can't comprehend how she could do that to the mother of her grandchildren. What an awful woman.
Someone had done that to my child. It is interesting, though, that you say nothing stopped them. Like the judge didn't say order in the court, bailiffs, please get the gallery under control. There was no attempt to sort of quell those actions.
No, I will say the deputies sort of gathered around that area where the victims' families were, so they were ready. I mean, if he was to get away from them holding him. But again, I think the judge felt it too. I mean, you just felt so deeply for these families, Ashley. The emotion, the sadness. I can't even really explain it. You could see it in their faces, just how distraught they were. So maybe that's why the judge just sort of let it carry on. I mean, it was hard not to just feel bad for them.
I mean, just so heartbreaking in every respect. So, and also perplexing, just perplexing. So you said Veronica's dad lunged at the defendants, and his sister, which would be Veronica's aunt, held him back. You met both of them, Veronica's dad and Veronica's aunt, outside the courthouse. What'd they say to you?
Yeah, so this sort of strange scene continued outside the courthouse because they basically kept everybody seated, and then they bring the suspects right out through the middle of the small courthouse, right out the front door, through the parking lot. The video you're looking at, they came in, they went out, and there was a crowd of people out there, local people watching, and there were also family members of the suspect out there. There was, it was Tad's sister. I wrote down what she said. She said that he would never hurt a woman. She was screaming that outside while all of this was happening. And then the victim's family.
Oh, for God's sake. So he would never hurt a woman. So he's obviously been arrested. He didn't do anything. He would never hurt a woman. Well, maybe he didn't hurt them. Maybe it was him who did the hurting, but he was still involved in it.
Came out, and I spoke with Veronica's dad and aunt. Again, just feel terrible for them.
Thank you for watching. Go.
Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to show you. Gosh, I mean, just, you know, crazy things going on all over the world, aren't there, at the moment? Anyway, let's have a look at what Dog the Bounty Hunter had to say about all this. So Dog the Bounty Hunter has been on News Nation. You know, do you know who Dog the Bounty Hunter is? He's obviously a bounty hunter, and he quite often gets involved in cases, doesn't he? He's not always right. He wasn't right about the Gabby Petito case. In fact, I think he, you know, made a total cock up there, but it's always interesting to hear his thoughts on, like this in particular, small town crime, because, you know, he's got a lot of experience dealing with with crime in America in different states, in different places.
Familiar with small town crime, small town justice in America. Chapman spent 20 years capturing criminals from the streets. Is a bounty hunter serving his own justice. Clips from his 2000s TV show where we bring down some of America's most dangerous people. We all remember the show. Just came out with a new book, 9 Lives and Counting, a bounty hunter's journey to faith, hope, and redemption, about his turn towards faith and how he now hopes to help some of the people he captured. Good to see you. Boy, I'm guessing hearing Brian's reporting. Yeah, good to see you.
Sorry, I just want to say his wife unfortunately died because him and his wife used to be on that series. I did used to watch it years ago. Not, you know, not religiously, not every time, but whenever I caught it, I would watch it. It was interesting. But unfortunately, his wife died not long ago.
Hearing some of Brian's reporting, I bet brought back some memories of some trips to places just like Texas County, Oklahoma that you had.
Yes, sir. Well, I bounty hunted #1 for 43 years. Brian and I are good friends. Oklahoma has the second largest death penalty in the United States since 1976. So these people that are upset because their family members have been killed, these guys that do it, instead of God's misfits, they need to be called the devil's herd. They're heading to the death penalty. And
Yeah, God's misfits is the wrong, like the devil's misfits might be a better way of describing them. They're heading straight to hell.
These little groups like that in small towns, that town may be scared of them, but, you know, welcome to the real world. They're going to face the gallows, lethal injection, whatever it is. Unbelievable. You know, thank God it's in the...
Sorry, thank God it's where?
South, where they're going to pay for their crime instead of in places they might get a personal reconnaissance bond, and that's...
Yeah, he's saying thank God that it's in the South because, yeah, I mean, really, if you were going to do anything like that, if you seriously were thinking about it, if you're that sort of person, it's not a good idea to do it in the South. I mean, it just shows how, honestly, they must be thick, because if they really thought they were going to get away with it, I mean, maybe if Cora and Cole's daughter hadn't come forward, do you think maybe the bodies would never have been found, or they would never have been prosecuted? Maybe. But I just think they were always they were the prime suspects, you know, they were always going to be suspected. Whether I think the bodies were found down a well, somebody was saying. I think it's him actually, from some information, but bear in mind that is just speculation. He's saying his contacts told him that, well, we know sometimes you get that information even from someone like Dog the Bounty Hunter. It's not always correct information, is it?
That's it. Some of the things I've investigated for the last couple hours on how it happened, it was absolutely planned. They bought phones, they bought tasers, they took those poor mothers out there, they dropped them in a well. I mean, this is absolutely premeditated, first-degree homicide, and I'm sure the jury in Oklahoma, Guyman, Oklahoma is a small town. I learned how to crop dust and fly planes there. I was there, in Texas, Guyman, all that area, and people there are God-fearing individuals. These people are going to the death house. And it doesn't matter, for the parents or the relatives. I know my daughter was killed in a car accident, and the person that was driving, he died too. And it didn't matter if he died with her, she still died. So there's no justification at all when someone's killed like that, even if they go to the death house, because it doesn't bring them back. But again, thank God it happened in places where they believe that a crime is crime and murder is murder. And I'm telling you, they're going to the death house, these people.
Yeah, the idea of the capital part of this, capital murder, had not occurred to me. We'll ask Brian to.
He don't know what to say now, does he, this guy? Because he's the difference between him and the bounty hunter, between him and Dog. He's like all there in his suit and everything, and Dog's like, the sort of macho bounty hunter type. And this guy now is thinking, oh shit, what do I say to that?
To look into that. When you think about these sort of small rural towns, though, and that they are to so much of America, right? There's a Norman Rockwell-esque version of it, and you think about small town America, Pleasantville, where nothing bad happens. How is it that though these sort of bands of people, I'm going to call them gangs or cults or whatever, get control of the politics and of the town to the point I don't know about you. I was shocked that they made the judge resign because he gave an interview.
Well, that's bullying. Okay, that's how they do. We did one of the last shows.
Oh yeah, that was something else that happened that we haven't even gone to seen yet. Brian Entin, the one who was being in, the actual reporter who was talking about the courthouse, he interviewed one of the judges. Very innocuous interview. That's why I didn't really even think it was worth making a video about. But afterwards, he had to resign. He was made to resign because he gave that interview. So these are very small towns, cliquey. Reminds me a bit of my little village, where I live. Oh, God knows what would happen with the courts aren't here in the village. The courts are outside in bigger towns up the road. But what would happen? God, if there was something like that happened here, I can't imagine what this town would make of it. Bloody hell, there'd be like riots, I think.
We did while Beth was still alive was in Pueblo, Colorado, the murder capital of the world. And I went after a guy that was was the leader of the gangbangers. And you know what? Everyone liked him and he was a bully. They were scared of him. So what happened was $5,000 cash. I gave it to one of his best friends who turned him in. So money talks to those people. I mean, they may act tough and be tough. I have bounty hunted there. I've heard of these guys before. They're just full of hot air. So, but that hot air caused a murder. So they will pay for it. And again, thank God it's in states where they just don't give them walking papers, OR, or a PR bond, release them and da-da-da. And if they do release them on bond, we still bounty hunt.
Yeah,
so if they release them,
these folks aren't getting. Yeah,
I don't think so. I'm glad they have no bail.
Kind of bail. Doug, I'm interested in your book, 9 Lives and Counting.
Thank you.
Okay, so that I think this is God. Just things. You think things can't get any stranger. There's so many strange things going on in the world. Doesn't matter which part of the world you're looking at. there's always something strange going on, isn't there? Anyway, I thought I'd just give you that little update, show you those things. Don't forget to have a look at the series Ozark if you've not seen it before, and you'll see when you get to the parts with Darlene Snell, you will see what I mean about the similarities I see between her and this Tiffany. Okay, so remember to live and love wisely and carefully. And you know, I feel for that Veronica because, well, I feel for obviously for both the victims, which actually reminds me, I've not lit the candle this morning. Oh, I think I might have to. I'm going to have to mess with the wick on that a bit, I think. I don't think that'll light. Let me just try. You know, the wax has sort of melted over the wick, and no, I'll have to get either get another candle or dig that wick out. Anyway, we'll light on when we're watching this. We'll light some virtual candles on the membership emojis. Which reminds me, actually, because I haven't done my thanking. Thank you so much to everyone who's subscribed, everyone who watches the videos. Don't forget to leave your fingerprints on the like button. And also, as always, special thanks to those of you who are members of my channel. Every Thursday night is Members Only Live. That's tonight, if you're watching this video when it's released. There'll be there's a members live, and also, of course, you get to use the members only emojis on the channel. So thank you to everyone who's become a member, because that is a massive help to me. And thank you to people who've gifted memberships too. We've got lots of new members to welcome to the family tonight. And no, it's not God's Misfits. Maybe I should call it Vicki Marie's Misfits, so we can become a cult then. Anyway, and also thank you to many of you have sent me, bought me Ko-Fi's or sent supers, or so thank you in any way that you support my channel. And as always, I'll see you really soon in the next video. Thank you.